I guess our third time around. The first time we met was sort of the inaugural Chasing Goosebumps project, right? Yeah. So I'm going to walk in here and I'm going to dig. This is the first thing on my mind. I was thoroughly taken and excited about that entire project. The way that it transpired over the week and then having that production at the end of the week. Here we are at the second round, but it's different. It's different. Right? You've gone through the process a little differently. Yeah. So I think the first thing that I'm curious about is what is there to expect? Because when I saw in January, you put up Chasing Goosebumps 2, I'm seeing Mac Ayers and Masego and Eric Roberson. I'm like, yes, a week, 2 weeks. It's good, but it's different now.
Well, you know what? The first project was it probably was the most gratifying project I've ever done.
Yeah.
It also was the most difficult. Mm-hmm. And what made it difficult was not the creation in a week. It was the finishing in a week.
Right.
The creation, we're good. We got that. We can do that all day, every day. Having to try to finish something and release it, that was a fun task to do. Mm-hmm. I was like, I'm never going to do that again.
Right.
Just, because it's a lot of stuff that I don't rush the creating process as much as fast as we can do it. It's not rushed. Mm-hmm. The finishing process started to get a little tedious because, I think I said before, on the first one, we had to be finished by midnight on Sunday.
Right.
And Glenn did not sing his last vocal until 9 p.m. Friday. Mm-hmm. So we had Friday night, all day Saturday night, and Sunday to midnight to basically mix and master.
That's a lot.
So I had a guy in the mastering lab who did not go home and just sat there. And as we finished mixes, we would send to him and he would master and we would send it back. He would send it back and we would listen and say if we liked it or not. Vidal Davis, who was mixing it, basically made himself sick because he stayed up for 72 straight hours. Mm-hmm. So it was just that part that I was like, you know what? I want to turn this into getting everybody together over a week's time for the creating process.
Right.
And then we'll take our time, finishing it.
Okay.
And especially with this one. This one is different than the first one.
Yes.
That I was really excited to take my time.
Yeah.
To finish it.
Mumu Fresh. Maimouna Youssef. I myself completely in love with her music. Mm-hmm. She's got this diverse sound. I mean, the bridge between what she does with Vintage Babies and then her own independent stuff. What is it about her that made her the feature for this particular year?
I've known her since she was 15.
Okay.
And I knew how talented she was when she was 15, and she was in a group with her brother. Mm-hmm. And ever since I've known her, I was like, I really want to do something. I want to do something. And just, how this is. Our paths just kind of crossed and intertwined. And we've done stuff over the years, but, not necessarily on a consistent basis. We did a few things. And then when Playlist really started, she was definitely on my mind to include her. And that's when the conversation started. Mm-hmm. I've always gotten on her because I wanted her to rap.
Yes.
Like, people did not understand how great of an MC she was. That you would almost surprise people to tell them that she raps just as good as she sings.
Most definitely.
There's no way. And I'm like, you just don't know. Like, that's how I met her. So I would always jump on her to do it. And it was funny because in our challenges that we do at the retreat, I think the last 2 or the last 3 she rapped on her song.
Oh, wow.
And it was amazing.
Yeah.
And I could tell, I was like, you know what? She's ramping up the engine because she started doing that. And then I realized that, when Common gave her a solo, instead of singing, she rapped. And then when she did the Tiny Desk and rapped, and everybody saw it, that just blew it up. And I really think that just kicked her into overdrive. But like I said, for the past 2-3 years, every time she would come up, I would tell her, I was like, I'm going to do something. During one of the retreats, she, a lot of times, people will hang out a few days after, because the creativity is just so high. And she ended up doing a song with, she did a song with Eric Lau, I think Kaidi, I think it was Stro, I think it was Tall Black Guy, and maybe Daniel, that, the day after. And she told Daniel that this was one of the first times that anyone has ever gave her creative freedom on what she wanted to do on a song. And it was funny because it got Daniel upset that somebody of that talent has always been in a situation that someone would tell you what to do.
Right.
And I'm all for creative freedom. So when Daniel expressed that to me, I was kind of like, listen. And I remember going to her and I was like, we're gonna do something. Just give me a minute. Let me just align all of the pieces and give me a minute. And I think the first Chasing Goosebumps, she was so, involved in that it was, I want to say maybe last summer, I came to her and I said, we're going to do it again. And I want it to be you. I said, I want to, I want to do the exact same thing. Let me put people around. So what I did is I called her and said, this is not my project or Playlist's project. This is our project. So I need you to write me a list of who you want. And I was like, and I'm gonna write a list of who I want to bring. And it was funny because she may have had 2 people that weren't on the list already.
Wow.
And it was just, like you could tell that she was really, really excited.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anyone has ever asked for her input like that.
Right.
Like, no, I want you to understand, this is not my project. This is your project that we're doing, with you.
Right.
So I want your input. I want you to tell me what you want. I want you, I told her, 6 months before, start writing down ideas and concepts and everything that you want. And we're going to do it.
That's excellent. Now you, when we spoke about Glenn Lewis and sort of the evolution that he went through during the process of recording that initial playlist, did you see the same thing of Maymuna?
Well, keep in mind, she worked on the first Chasing Goosebumps. So she went through the same process that Glenn went through, but from a different perspective. She went through as a writer and as a background singer. Right. So it was kind of like she knew what it was because she's like, I've been here before. Right. So, it was really interesting that, she came in and it was pretty much her, Eric Roberson, Carvin, Musina, Dane, and Billy Mercury. Oh my God. But it was kind of like they got together, because they knew, right? And they kind of helped. Billy was new into that writing fold, and then we had some people who haven't done the sessions before, guys like Tech Beats and 14KT. Yes. And DJ Khalil. And it was just like, we kind of explained the whole process. And, the first day, everybody kind of went and started doing something, which I love because it's this weird first day that people are just bumping around trying to figure out what to do. And right. I got something and, there's people in the big studio taking up space and, where do I don't know where I belong. And you let that go through. And every morning, Eric and I would, get everybody together, and we would have daily talks. And we started kind of having a conversation like, okay, we did this is what we're going to do. And it was wild because I want to say that Monday after that talk, something happened. And it was just kind of like, okay, we're going here, we're going here, we're going here. This is where we're going to write and this is where we're going to cut. and it just started being like this, that we just had like a system of, here's all of the songs that, people have submitted, and we have a community Dropbox, and here's the Dropbox, and here's the writers. The writers have the access to the Dropbox, and the writers will go in and pick songs, and they start writing. Once they start writing, then you contact the person who they wrote and give the stems, bounce the stems, and do it. And it started really going.
Yeah.
But it was really funny to go in the writer's room to just watch how much fun they were having writing. Because she had a lot of stuff that she wanted to get out. Mm-hmm. It was great because her and Lucina have known each other since they were like 9.
Yeah.
So incredible. that was just, Lucina was just like, I'm so excited for her to get her story out.
Yes.
And it just started. It really started. And it just, they're very fast in getting their ideas out, and
it came together.
Yeah.
What I found really interesting and really dope, to be honest, is as I started to see the players that are involved, definitely some, maybe they were there last year as well, but Mac Ayers is one I love. Masego, I've been chasing all year. The sound that he's coming out with is
he's great.
It's on a completely other level. So I'm looking at there's some real, I'm going to throw up air quotes, but unknowns that are within that mix. You mentioned 14KT. What are you looking for when these people capture you? Thinking about the combinations and putting them together. How do you get, a Eric Roberson and a 14KT and know that this is going to gel?
You know what's crazy? It's a lot of my DJ brain. It's me putting records together. Like, it was funny. Z-Trip said, we were talking, and Z-Trip said, I want to say after like the second retreat, and it was crazy that he said it. He was like, when Jeff assembles playlists, we're Jeff's records in his crate.
Right.
And he assembles his records and he plays a perfect set.
Yes.
And it's kind of like, you just kind of know. Like, DJing and music for me is a lot like making a stew. It's the right ingredients. And sometimes you don't ever think of chicken. You don't think chicken should go with waffles. You definitely don't think syrup should go with chicken.
Right.
But when you mix it all together, this is incredible. And it's the person who thought of that. That is kind of like, there are certain things, that go together. It's I make amazing waffles. People come, everybody, can you mix? But you know what it is? There are times that I'll make my waffles and I put nutmeg in my waffles. I put cinnamon in my waffles. I put a little bit of sugar in my waffles. Because you know what I realized? You put nutmeg, cinnamon, and sugar in a cake. And everybody loves cake. If you put a smidgen of that in waffles, it throws everybody off. Yes. Oh my God. What is it about? It's common sense to me.
Right.
So it's kind of the same thing that if I listen to somebody like 14KT and I hear the structure of his music, I'm automatically saying, oh my God, that you and such will be a perfect marriage.
Right.
Like the way that the texture of her voice and the texture of your music will go together. And it's the same thing that is kind of like, oh my God, like the way that he does his drum programming, but the way that he plays keys, that it's starting to put those seasonings together. That it's kind of like you and you will be great. Oh my God. And you and you will be great. And it's that was the Eric Roberson and Daniel Crawford. That was the, all of these guys that you kind of know because there is a common thread of like-mindedness.
Yes.
Musically in all of these guys.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's kind of like you just want to make him discover that. And it's really kind of like if you're looking for an incredible musician, you don't ask a plumber.
Yeah.
You ask another incredible musician. You want a great bass player, ask a great drummer. Greatness follows each other.
Yes.
It's really like that. And it was just kind of like, because I knew that she rapped, it enabled me to get beat makers that I felt that will accentuate that part.
Yeah.
I got all of this. But if I get you and you, if I'm like, okay, oh man, you know, Tech Beats is amazing. If I get Tech Beats and put Tech Beats with Ray Angry, oh my God, like what's gonna come out of that?
Right.
And then this also enabled me, because I know how her voice is, this enabled me to say, you know what? I need to put you with Kenny Doe.
Yes.
I need to do some house stuff. I want to go in a direction, you know, I want to do something. I want to branch out with this. Like, this was a lot of fun because there was no area that I didn't touch.
Really?
You know, it's kind of like, no, you know, we're going to go there. And she was so excited. And the thing that got me was Kenny and Terry were on my list.
Yeah.
And when I asked her, she was like, I want to do some soulful house stuff. Nice. And I was just like, I didn't even have to talk her into that one. So, you know, you just called them and it was amazing. Just, you know, then you have them with these incredible musicians. Yes. And, you know, so it really morphed into something. I knew it was going to be something. I didn't expect it to be what it turned into.
I'm dying to hear it. So Soulful House. Mm-hmm. What else is in there? She's gonna rap, of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes. She did a lot of very emotional, introspective songs. She did a song that her and Musina wrote, and she sang it one time. Mm-hmm. And she sang it from the beginning to the end, and turned off all of the lights. And she sang it, and when she was done, she cried for 20 minutes in the booth. Oh, and Lucina went in the booth and cried to the point that everybody was emotional. Mm-hmm. But she didn't do this during that, you know, she waited until everybody left. She picked the time that she wanted to do it, you know, because she knew that it was going to take a lot, you know, out of her. But it was like touching on a lot of personal stuff. Wow. But you know, that's what she really wanted. It was almost kind of like, this is my chance to get out a lot of stuff that she might not have been able to get out on Vintage Babies, because it wasn't that kind of project.
Yes.
You know, and this was about her. Mm-hmm. And you know, it's funny, you know, she's got a Big Girls Anthem on there. Mm-hmm. Like, she touched on a lot of stuff. And I really enjoyed all of them getting together writing, because the conversations is what the songs come from. Yeah. You know, that somebody will say something, I don't understand why, you know, like they went through this whole thing, you know, just talking about not everybody is made to be thin. Yes. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, there are some people whose body structure is just what it is. Yeah. I don't care how much you work out, how much you diet, you're not going to do that. And it's like, I'm not going to drive myself crazy trying to be something that the status quo says that I should. Mm-hmm. And it was, you know, and then they started joking about it, and it turned into a song. Wow. And it was kind of like, wow, like, you know, that was it. Yeah. You know.
So those conversations that we got to see last year, that was still an element that was still happening.
That never stops. That never stops. That never stops, especially when you get the group together. Yeah. Because you got to keep in mind, we're all eating. We eat together. Yeah. You know, we have family dinners, and you know, and just, you know, it's not work all the time. Yeah. You know, it's you know, you kind of enjoy that. You kind of get a chance to be creative, and then you go walk into the room and watch someone else be creative, mm-hmm. and you kind of lend a hand. It's not a competition. Right. So you're never afraid to offer an assistance on something that you didn't have anything to do with. If you can make it better, or you have an idea, you know, you throw your idea into the pot. Yeah.
That makes, I mean, that I think adds to the complexity and the layers that you feel mm-hmm. listening to the music. Yeah. Without a doubt. So this year, the players involved. I know mm-hmm. Daniel Crawford's in there, Ero's in there, Stro Elliott's in there. Who else did I see? Masego, I saw. 14KT,
Mac Ayers, and
Mac
Chris.
Ayers, yeah.
Billy Mercury, who is a whole nother. He's a whole, like, you don't know about Billy Mercury, but oh my God.
Tall black guy,
Ray Angry, OG. who OG has done stuff with Big L, and
yes.
just, you know, it was cool. It was like you really treated it like you were, I'm about to go DJ this place and I need to go sort through my records, and who do you call?
Yeah.
You know, there were some people that you didn't call this time. You know, we're already have on a board of the next one that we want to do, and you're mapping out, okay, well, I want to you, and who should I bring for this, you know? So it's kind of the same thing, but, you know, a lot of it was just paying attention to her voice and her texture and what she wanted to say, and the fact that she didn't just sing, and you could just really kind of tap into it. You know, Khalil did some amazing stuff. 14KT did some amazing stuff.
I saw Mac Ayers going off on one of those videos. I got to see him live about maybe 3 months ago now. Absolutely ridiculous. That fella's groovy as hell.
He's
groovy as hell.
He's on a whole nother level. And then he played some of his new stuff, and it was just like, get out.
Yeah.
Just get out. Just leave.
And so unassuming. Like, once he really starts going, I found myself at moments just standing back, like, is this coming out of this
absolutely.
cat? You know?
It was funny because one of the first times he came down, Kenny and Terry were there because we were doing something with Frank McComb. And he came down, and it was funny because Terry was just looking at him. And Terry, like, and I'm looking at Terry and I'm looking at Mac, and I was like, okay, here, I know what's coming. And Terry's just like, let me just ask you a question. How many of your friends, and he said none of them, because you knew where he was going. Like, I'm just trying to figure out, are all your friends like you? And he's like, no, you know, it's me and Chris. They were Berkeley kids. You know, they love music.
Yeah.
And, you know, and you can tell when it's genuine.
Yeah, for sure.
You can tell when it's kind of like, this isn't something that I studied. This is something.
Yeah, he starts to zone out. There are times he's gone. Like,
he's
the roof could have dropped.
He's gone.
And he's gone with it. Yeah. Wow. So the big question, Jeff. When?
We're done. We recorded about 20 songs.
You're kidding.
So we're done. And I think what it was when we finished, we just had the songs on the board that she wanted to finish. And it was just really scheduling. You know, she just came back from overseas, and she was in the studio the night, you know, that I left. And, you know, I talked to her actually this morning, and she's going to come back next week and finish a couple of more.
Oh,
like,
wow.
she, you know, it's like it was just kind of like, listen, since we know what we got, let's finish it. We're not in this massive rush. The thing that I really wanted to do is take that time to piece it together.
Yeah. And
then now we know what we got. This is just icing. You know, Vidal was putting rough mixes on stuff just so we could kind of hear it. And we're just going to have a session that we're going to sit down and we're going to pick, you know, how many songs and pick the songs and then, you know, just mix them. Like, they pretty much have everything that they need on them because, you know, during that week we had Jeff Bradshaw and Horns coming. So it's just, you know, we're just going to pick them. And
you're throwing out names. Like, you're throwing out some legendary names here. You know, Frank McComb, in his own right, jazz-wise, is a monster. Jeff Bradshaw, and I'm thankful that he's actually up and back and making music and strong.
Jeff Bradshaw?
Yeah, for sure.
Let me say something.
And strong, you know?
Jeff Bradshaw did his album in the studio. Jeff Bradshaw is probably going to win a Grammy for this album.
Really?
This is amazing. I can't even begin to tell you how amazing this is.
Wow.
I'll put it to you like this. Jeff asked could he come in the studio. This maybe about a little bit over 2 years to do something. Jeff is the reason why I linked back up with Frank McComb. Okay. Because Jeff did a song on his album with Glenn and Frank.
Yes.
That is
wow.
You know, and that's how, you know, pretty much. But, you know, it was really one of those things that I didn't want Jeff to rush his album.
Yeah.
So it's just like, take the time, you know, and just use the studio. And what I loved is he took his foot off of the gas. Yeah. You know, of having to pay for studio time and being rushed. And he took his time, you know, to do it. And you can tell.
Yeah.
It's
we were as we were coming up in the elevator, we were talking about the fact that pain brings out sometimes the most, the most beautiful things out of you. And, to see sort of the year fighting with the health and such to come back, I'm sure that a lot of that just bled out into the music. Yeah, I'm excited to hear that. Yeah. That's pretty dope.
So, but, it's like I said, it's, I think a lot of this is offering a place of refuge for a lot of them.
Yes.
And it also gives the ability to be able to call names like that on projects. That is kind of like, when you start throwing stuff into a pot for everybody to be able to take from, it benefits everybody.
Yes, it does.
That's how Jeff got to do his album. So why would not Jeff, help Mamuna have the best album that she can?
Right.
Or Eric Roberson. So you realize that the more stuff that you throw in, the pot just gets bigger. And it's kind of like, listen, everybody's here to help each other.
And then, too, I realized after Chasing Goosebumps, the individual projects that started to come out from, Eric Loud dropped his, Kaidi dropped, Tall Black Guy dropped, Daniel dropped, and Revolution was bonkers.
14 KT's album.
Yes, was amazing. I featured him one Sunday as well. But to hear the contributions on their own projects that each other is making, you can see that there was genuinely something that meshed within the project. Yeah, it was a beautiful blending of sounds. So process-wise, you also, since I saw you also had M3 that dropped as well, which was Rhymefest, Amir, and Dane taking the helm of that one. What's the difference in process? And I mean, it's 3 rappers as well, but is there a difference in process between what happened with Goosebumps and how you went about M3?
Nope. You know what's funny? I got everyone together. I called in all of the musicians. Like, I knew exactly how I wanted this to sound.
Yeah.
And I called in all of the people that I wanted to get the sound. And I recorded all of the music in a week.
Damn.
Like, we recorded the music without anybody. Like, it's just like, this is how I want it to sound. And then I waited 2 weeks, and then Rhymefest, Dane, and Amir and Aaron Camper came in and did all of the vocals in a week.
Wow.
But it was, and that was, I probably would have never did it like that if I didn't do Chasing Goosebumps.
Right.
That kind of gave me kind of a blueprint.
Yeah.
But it was, that I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And that, I think what happens is the more and more we do it, the better you kind of become at it. And you kind of understand. And that's why I think, this project is by far one of the better ones we've done.
Yeah, I'm going nuts to hear it. Definitely going nuts to hear it. So what is next? What's up and coming? I know you're traveling still, touring extensively. Where do you go from here? What does the next year look like?
I think we have realized that Chasing Goosebumps needs to be a series.
Yeah.
That it's kind of like, because it's kind of like, the Glenn project and just us saying that what we were trying to do is just trying to make music that gave people goosebumps.
Yeah.
That's a never-ending thing.
Absolutely.
That it was just kind of like, you just really want to do Chasing Goosebumps with whoever you can.
Yeah.
And I think, what I would love to do, I would love to definitely hit the playlist people first, but we got a lot of outside people that have contacted. And it's just like, how can I do this?
Yeah.
How can
I be down?
Yeah, like some and some big name people.
Really?
Yeah. But I want to just kind of, it's almost like, let me just take care of the family first before we start going out. But I think we really enjoy the process of just getting together and doing it. That, it's really time.
Yeah. So
we are looking at the calendar, and basically what the lofty goals is we're trying to carve out 4 weeks out of the year to do it. Mm-hmm. And I would like to do 4 of these a year.
Really?
Yeah. But it's just really taking a week, because you have to almost pick the week and then start sending out the bat signals
right.
to hope that everybody that you want is free for that week, and then, you know, piecing it all together.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a lofty goal, but you know,
I know from a music lover's side of things, it's very exciting. It's a very exciting process. You know, when I saw you post Chasing Goosebumps II, I was very excited. I'm like, oh, yes, you know, I'm ready to go. And then the snippets again, like to be able to just get that peek inside of what's going on and just hear just those little sessions where they're just vibing out by themselves. It generates so much, I guess, like a hype, like a longing, like you're really hanging to hear the thing. So I'm certainly excited to hear.
And I think, you know what else too? I think this is going to bring a lot of attention back to the first one.
Yes.
Because it was kind of like there were a lot of people that thought that this was a one-time thing, that you could tell the excitement when we said that we were doing it again. That was kind of like the aha moment for people, that it's kind of like, wait a minute, so you're going to do this on a continue. It was very much like the first retreat. It was kind of like, wow, that was really cool that you got together some people. And when the second one came, it was like, so this is a thing, you know, and then that kind of takes it to a whole nother level. So,
yeah, phenomenal. I myself, being who I am, I can't leave and not poke at you on another level.
Yeah.
Your country is going crazy. What? How do you?
Be like,
you know,
don't make me claim that.
You know, Mr. Grump was in the first one,
Mr. Grump,
right? And Mr. Grump talked to the man and just put it out there. You know, the impending issues with Mr. Grump.
Yeah.
What is he? Individual number one? Is that what they're calling him?
I don't know.
Person number one. How do you feel about what's happening? I mean, it's been a year now, but that year has seemed like 10.
Numb.
Outside looking in.
Numb. Well, you know what it is. There's a few things that bother me more than anything else. It's the feeling that when you do something and you get in trouble, right? But then it's the feeling that you do something and you get away with it. There's a level in my brain that I'm kind of like, I'm scared when it gets to the point that people realize that you can get away with it.
Yeah.
Because then that's going to become the trend.
Right.
Like, we don't have the level of discipline that we used to have. That is kind of like, you kind of knew that so much of the things that are going on existed.
Yeah.
But there was still, you know, it's almost kind of like back in the day when it was kind of like the code on the street is you don't involve innocent people.
Right.
But you saw what happened when it got to the point that I don't care who's around.
Yeah.
You saw how that turned out. I feel a lot like that. I can't help but to reflect back to, you know, like, wow, you know, they you know, I remember, you know, when Barack Obama went into office and they were like, they took his BlackBerry. Like, he's not allowed to have his BlackBerry.
Right.
That's kind of like, but he can have his phone. He can do whatever he wants. Like, that's not really cool, you know. And you're watching him do things, and you're just kind of like, okay, so no one, you know, it's kind of like so many things have happened without any repercussion that I'm kind of like, oh my God, like, is this the beginning of I can get away with anything I want to do? That everybody starts to realize that there are so many things that you never thought would just go unanswered.
Yeah, for sure.
That I'm kind of like,
you think that, oh, this is the one. And it never takes
but see,
them down.
You know what?
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I go into a much deeper level. That is that where we are as a society.
Yeah.
Like, not just him. Like, okay, he's just the prime example. Yeah. But is that where we are as a society? I remember thinking when 9/11 happened, I remember saying to somebody, if this would have happened 15 years ago, everybody in the country would have needed therapy.
Yeah.
Because we actually looked at 9/11 like it was a movie.
A movie, yes, we did.
We did not look at those people falling off of the building on fire as real. That was a movie. And I almost feel like what we're going through now, people really think that it's social media, like we have a hard time differentiating what's real and what's not. I'm like, yo, dog, this shit is real.
Yeah.
This is real. You know, and we just kind of bypass it. We bypass it. We bypass the mental health issues that, you know, people have.
Yeah.
Even down to, Amir talked to me. He was really, really upset about the 21 Savage thing. It's kind of like, yo, like they're about to take him away from his, his kids, and he's a meme. It's a joke.
That was
like, disgusting. It's like, wait a minute. Like, so, that's where we are. And see, then the conspiracy theory part of me comes in, that it's kind of like, this is set up for us to make it a joke so we don't take it serious because we don't have enough whatever to rally around something like that and take it serious. It's a joke. Yeah. And then you start feeling like, it just seems like every day somebody's pushing you a little bit farther. Yeah. You pushing,
It's been a rough month. Like, really and truly, February's begun. It's supposed to be Black History Month, but it's been a very rough month.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm kind of like, and I don't think that that's not by design. I think somebody is poking the bear. They keep pushing it. They keep pushing it. It's kind of like, okay, let's see how far I can make Black History Month a joke.
Yeah.
Without any repercussions. And then, man, we're not caring about that. You're watching this happen. And I think, to me, one of the troubling things is it's a global thing.
Yes. It's
a global thing. Yeah. And it's kind of like, man, like this is crazy.
Do you see a difference as you're traveling? Like,
this is the first time in traveling all around the world that I feel like people feel sorry.
Really?
Oh man, we get that so much. and the crazy thing, especially because I'm Black.
Yes.
Because I'm Black, you go to Europe and they're not laughing or saying your country. They're kind of like, wow, damn. Like, because they see it.
Right.
They see it. Like, and we never had that when we were traveling. There was a level of pride that you kind of had.
Yes.
That, now you going places and they're like, oh, you from America? And it's kind of like, wow, you hear how you just said that? like you from the joke country now.
Yeah.
Like, look what y'all did. Look, Yes, I don't know. I like to feel slightly comfortable and feeling like you have some level of a bead on it. But this shit is so out of control. I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring.
Yeah, it's never been like this.
You don't know. And one of the things that I will always tell my kids is you need to ask yourself, are the parties involved stupid?
Yeah.
I don't believe that there's anybody on that side that is stupid.
Yeah.
Which makes me realize this is calculated. This isn't coming from one individual.
Yeah.
You trying to tell me that one person is allowing all of this shit to happen?
Right.
Like, no, there might be one person that's the scapegoat of all of this happening, but it's not
it's
coming from one person that you're kind of like, yo, this is deep.
Yeah.
This is deep. This is a lot of people's underlying emotions coming out.
Yeah. It's almost like the punishment for putting a Black president in.
Yeah,
this is what you get.
You definitely feel like that. And you definitely feel like we need to rectify, I don't want to say the damage, but we need to kind of make this in a way that it'll be really hard for you to recover from that.
Yeah.
Because you have to think, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
The one thing that I do not like about politics is no one ever says I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Or no one says, okay, I fucked up.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? We shouldn't have did that, and we're going to do it. You will justify anything. He could say the most outlandish shit, and there is somebody that in some way will justify it. And I'm like, wow, like I'm scared to death of that. I'm scared for my kids to do that shit, because you're going to come home and justify every bad grade and justify every bad thing that you did. Because you, like, what, the president doesn't?
Yes.
Like, you almost don't pay attention to the news because the news is not real anymore.
Yes.
Which sucks because it's kind of like, now you're missing out on all of the real news that is sandwiched in all of this other stuff.
Right.
But it's kind of like, I got to turn the television on And this seems like Instagram, but it's kind of like, oh, Chris Brown is fighting with such and such. Oh, Donald Trump said, like, it's the same shit. It's kind of like, yo, no one is talking about global warming. No one's talking about poverty. No one is talking about, and then it's really so much of the distraction thing that is kind of like, you're kind of like, so has anybody mentioned anything about all the kids that were separated from their families? Because it's kind of like, you throw so much stuff up here to make everybody look up here that we're not paying attention to any of the other stuff. Yeah. And you're waiting for, which you know will never happen. You're just waiting for people to just be like, okay, all right, we fucked up.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have did that. That was a shot. Because, and I said to people that I did not necessarily agree with them, but I 100% understand why people voted. I completely understand. Understand. You listen. When you are used to the same thing over and over and over again, Brewster's Millions.
You're right. You're very
Brewster's
right.
Millions. Dave, how many TV shows and movies have we had about the average guy getting into the presidency because you're kind of like, he's not tainted?
Yeah, you're right.
So, listen, I got that. That was Brewster's Million all day long. Mm-hmm. Like, get the guy who just... He's not tainted. He's not this. That was Whoopi Goldberg coaching the New York Knicks. That's the story. Yeah. Get somebody who is not tainted by the system, and they can do a better job. Mm-hmm. But it's just kind of like, you know what? And I understand that. I'm not getting the plumber to fly the plane.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Like, yo, I value my safety. I at least want somebody that kind of knows the job. Like, I've had friends that were like, man, I'm not voting for Hillary Clinton. I'm voting for Donald Trump. And it was just kind of like, okay, like, I understand and they would say their reason for not voting for Hillary. And I'm like, got it. But I'm not letting the plumber fly the plane.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not letting the plumber fly the plane. You see what happens when the plumber flies the plane. We were watching what happens with the plumber flying the plane. It's
crazy. Sitting back here and watching it, it's crazy. We're praying for y'all.
I mean, it's anytime it's gotten to the point that me and my wife have a list of locations of where we go.
Wow.
Like, dead serious. Like, okay, yep. When it go down, we here.
That's crazy.
Holla at me in Thailand.
Yeah.
Holla at me in Amsterdam. Like, we got a list that and did the research, schools, whole thing.
Wow.
That is just kind of like, yeah.
That's crazy.
It is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It really is.
Oh my God. All right. I'm glad I got that audio. I was very curious about your thoughts on that. So tonight we catch you at the Velvet Underground.
Yeah.
What's going down tonight?
Well, Monster Energy started doing these 45 tours a couple of years ago, which I was really envious. I wasn't really into my 45s, and I got really pulled back in. And it was just because it's, listen, I was a vinyl collector for 30 years. I got vinyl all over the place. It's just, and I went through the ups and downs. Trust me, I love it, but I went through, spending your last dollars on vinyl. I went through you're buying vinyl, and sometimes the pressings aren't the best, and it might not just be the copy that you bought. It could be the run was bad. Mm-hmm. That I remember when record companies stopped pressing up vinyl, that the first run of records that you got was the last run. Yeah. And I remember going to New York on the Rock and Soul, getting bootlegs that you were happy that somebody decided to press this record up on bootleg, or you weren't going to get it. So when the whole Serato and the computer stuff came out, it was a little bit different for me. I did a tour in Japan and came home, and it cost me about $3,800 in extra bag fees just to take my records. That I remember saying in my brain, like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot do it. Like, something's got to give, So I understand the transformation. But there was a level that you missed it.
Yeah.
There was definitely a level that you missed it, because you don't have any cue points when, when you're playing records.
Vinyl,
you get to play music a little bit longer. You get to hear what's available on vinyl, which creates a whole nother thing.
What's on the B side?
Yeah. And it, you know, it really got to a point that, you know, that started to really bloom and blossom. And I got so many friends that are into it that I just started mysteriously getting packages mailed to my house that it was just vinyl. And I was just like, oh man, you were pulling me in. And then it was funny because I ended up going to dinner with the guy who runs it and not knowing. And we had a conversation and I was just kind of like, oh man, I would love to do it. So I was just like, hey, we're doing it. You know, this year. And he asked me to do it. I was like, yeah. You know, I play at Bastards Barbecue every year for 3-Star. He does.
Yes, we were there for that as well. The playlist at Corner Hall. Yeah. A few months back as well. That was nuts. That was an experience.
So you know, the first night was last night in Ottawa, and it was insane. You know, because it's just music, people.
Yes,
you get to hear all kinds of stuff. You got some skips and some pops, and it's just
sound.
You have people there that are just really into it. Like that was a lot of fun.
Excellent.
So, should be good tonight.
All right, we'll be in there. We'll definitely be up in there. So I want to thank you again for taking the time out for us once again. I am eagerly waiting. Yeah. Eagerly waiting for Chasing Goosebumps to drop.
I told her this morning that I have not shown my emotion yet, but she's got something really, really special.
When I saw her face, I was excited because I love her on her own. And to feel how I feel about the first project and know sort of how that works and the individuals that are going to be involved in that, Maimuna's voice is going to be what's featured. I'm so eager to hear it. Yeah, I think it's going to be stellar.
You know, and I also think, like I said, that, adding the elements of Kenny and Terry and that, you'll be hearing her in different arenas.
Yes.
Which she's really excited. She did it. She definitely did it.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, we'll be listening. We'll be waiting for it. You're going to release it as you did before, sort of just pumping it out on all the platforms, or is there a different way?
But it'll probably be a little bit more of a grander release.
Okay.
She's working with some people that I know, some music people.
Yeah.
That are really good friends of mine that we have been talking about really pushing this out a little bit more.
Excellent.
The music space that we're in now is a little interesting. Like I have no doubts in my mind about making music.
Yeah.
The only doubts in my mind that I have is the best way to release it and get it to the masses.
Right.
So she's got people that's their expertise. So, I'm kind of like, listen, I'm gonna take my hands off of the wheels a little bit more with that, because I think this really deserves eyeballs, eyes and ears.
Yeah, for sure. Excellent. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Yeah, I appreciate it.